Welcome to my channel Learn Psychology. In today's video we will learn about Piaget theory of cognitive development. So Piaget's stages of cognitive development, how many stages are presented by Piaget? The first is sensory motor stage, which is about 2 years. Then pre-operational stage, which is 2 to 7 years. Complete operational stage, which is 7 to 11 years. And formal operational stage, which is 12 and up. So now Piagetian approach. Piagetian approach means that what are the important concepts that were presented by Jean Piaget. They are and these concepts are very important to learn the Piaget theory. The first is schemas, then we have assimilation concept, and we have accommodation process. So schemas, what is the schema? Schemas are the organized mental representations of the world. For example, if we are particularly discussing about the child development, so schemas means that the child developed the schemas for daddy, schemas for mommy, schemas for depending on the characteristics and depending on its age level. Then we have assimilation concept that taking new information and fitting into existing schemas. For example, the child learned a schema about a cat, that all the 4 legs animals are cat. Then we will learn about the process of accommodation. Process of accommodation is the process of restructuring and modifying the existing schemas. So what does it mean? For example, the child has learned that all the 4-leg animals are cat. This is the process of assimilation. Now the accommodation process comes that the child will witness a dog, or the child will witness a goat or elephant, and child starts calling that animals as cat as well. But now the child will learn to understand that not all 4-leg animals are cat. Some are dogs, some are goats, some are elephants, depending on different characteristics that the child will learn to distinguish. Just like the child has learned to distinguish between the schemas for daddy, the schemas for mummy, and the schemas of siblings if the child has some siblings as well. So these are 3 important concepts that we should learn about the Piaget theory. So now coming towards the sensory-motor stage, which is the first stage of Piaget theory. The sensory-motor stage, as the name said, all the development that happen in this stage are purely on the basis of sense organ, the child's and motor reaction. The child's learn and experts in cognition and learns intellectually primarily through the sense organs and motor reactions, and it comprises of first 2 years. Takes primarily through sensing the environment, manipulating objects, and other motor reactions. The important concept or this phase of the first 2 years of the phase development ends when the child learn to discriminate what is object permanence concept. So object permanence concept is the important development phase, or we can say it's the important development that the child develops, and the child happen in the child's learning that the objects do exist even if they are not in the sight of the child surroundings. For example, in the initial years of this stage, like if we talk about that the sensory motor stage comprises of first 2 years, and child in first few months the child may show the signs of discomforts like crying, yelling, when he observed that the mother is not in his or her sight. The child assumed that if the mother is not in his or sight, the mother has disappeared. But at the end of this stage, the child learns to understand that objects that they are not in the sight, that doesn't mean they are out of the sight, doesn't mean they are out of the world, or these things are disappeared. This is the process of object permanence that develops at the end of this stage, that child successively develop when this stage ends. This stage is characterized by a child's acquiring sensory motor control. The child learns to control his sense organs, and motor control has developed. This sensory motor period has been described by Piaget in terms of 6 successive levels of development. So now the sensory motor stage has basically 6 sub-stages that we will learn in this video as well. The first stage is reflex X stage. Reflex X stage starts from birth to 1 month. Like roughly we can say that it's the first stage is the reflex X stage, and which is we can learn through the name that it is all the learning that happen in this stage is entirely through natural reflexes and entirely through innate reflexive. The infant is said to be engaged mostly in reflexive exercises. During this sub-stage, the child understands the environment purely through inborn reflexes such as sucking and looking. The child, when we put the finger closer to the child mouth, the child starts sucking, and the child starts looking into his or her surroundings, This is the first sub-stage of the sensory motor stage. Then we have the second stage, which is primary circular reaction, and it is like covers almost 4 months of the child's development. The infant begins to display a class of behavior called circular reactions. It means that circular reactions mean that all the behaviors are the child's own bodily centered. It means that all the behaviors are centered entirely centered on the child's own body. For example, thumb sucking, closing fist, and foot kicking, and these behaviors are done intentionally. A child firstly discovers thumb sucking and the child finds it playable and then repeats the process in this all 4 months. Then we have secondary circular reactions, which comprise again the 4 months, the next 4 months, which are 4 to 8 months. In this stage, the infant becomes more object oriented. For example, see in the second stage, which is the primary circular reaction stage, the child was bodily oriented. The main difference in the next stage, which is the 4 to 8 month, that the child or infant becomes more object oriented. Okay, by chance infant might shake a rattle. For example, a child in this picture, you can see the child is holding a rattle. Again, child by chance infant find a or shake a rattle, and the rattle sounds well, and then repeats this action because for the sake of its fascination, or for the child or the infant find it's more pleasurable. He repeats the gesture a number of times, and each time the interesting results motivates the repetition. For example, the sound or the interesting sound of the rattle will make interesting to the child, and child will see results motivating the repetitions. The next stage is cogniting secondary schemas, which is 8 to 12 months. Infants are more likely to perform intelligent behavior. Now, like again, we can see that cognition is increasing successively, and the childs now learn to perform intelligent behavior. For example, infants might manipulate a stick in order to bring a desired toy within reach. They might knock over one block to reach and play with another. So this is how the child shows intelligent behavior. Child may may start doing different play, may start manipulating his or her toys as well. So in this, like we can see that now the child is growing, child is like almost a years old, and now the child shows intellectual behavior. Meanwhile, you can see that all other development has also happened, like the language development is going on. The child is more socializing from the immediate family members to other family members as well, so that we can see all the things are going side by side. Next stage is tertiary circular reactions, which comprises like almost 12 to 18 months, 6 months of child year. In this months, child may try out different sounds or actions as a way of getting attention from a caregiver. For example, childs wants their attention from caregiver, and they try different kind of behaviors in which they learn to that okay, this behavior is causing, and my parents or my primary caregiver is giving attention to my behaviors as well, to giving attention to me as well. Then the child understands how manipulate his behaviors depending on the attention that he or she is gaining from his caregivers. For example, the child experiments with subject objects in order to see, understand, and pursue the novelty. Now the child will manipulate the objects, will break the objects, or will do different experiments to understand what's now this is happening with the objects. The child will learn to play with the blocks and try out different things with the blocks, and experience the novelty and the new experience that the child is having in doing so. And Piaget says the important concept, or we can say what is the important development. So now the question is, what is the important development tertiary circular reactions? The important development that happens is that the human curiosity develops, and the child starts doing interest in novelty. The child wants to try out new things, new experience in his or her environment. The last stage of this sensory motor stage, or the sixth stage, is symbolic thought stage, which comprises almost 18 to 24 months, and these are the period where the sensory motor stage ends and the child has developed the important concept and important cognitive concepts throughout the year. For example, in this last stage, which almost comprises of 6 months again, the new process inside the extremely important newly developed process represents the glimpse of intelligence. So now the child has developed the insight about different objects, in which way the clients and